Assalamu alaikum students, I hope you all are fine. Today we are going to start the poem The Walrus and the Carpenter. In this poem, the Lewis Carroll has explained this thing that how walrus and carpenter deceive and take advantage of oysters. He teaches us to be cautious and not blindly trust others, and some people might not have good intentions. That's why the theme of the poem is like this, that how people deceive each other in this way, and we should open our minds and eyes in this regard. So let's start reading the poem. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his best to make the billows smooth and bright, and this was odd because it was the middle of the night. So let me tell you one thing before starting this. So Walrus and Carpenter, they met on a beach and decided to go for a walk. They came across a group of oysters, and Walrus persuaded them to come with them. And after that, oysters have all of them eaten by both of these, Walrus and the Carpenter. So the whole story has been narrated in the form of a poem. So in the first stanza, they are just giving the scenario of the atmosphere, the environment, what kind of the atmosphere was, that it is the night time and the sun was shining, and this thing was odd in this all. And the moon was shining sulkily. He was feeling grumpy that why this sun has come at this time. This is my time now. As you know that moon is the king of the night and sun is the king of the day. So right now moon is feeling very grumpy that why this sun has come at my time now. That's why he's saying because she thought the sun, she means that moon, had got no business to be there after the day of was done. It's very rude of him, she said, to come and spoil the fun. Like moon is not feeling good right now because sun has come to take over his position. The sea was wet as wet could be, the sands were dry as dry. You could not see a cloud because no cloud was in the sky. No birds were flying overhead. There were no birds to fly. There was no birds to fly. The sky was the same like it was. There was no clouds on the sky. It is simply in this stanza the poet is just telling about the atmosphere, the environment around it. Now in this stanza they are going to start the walk together. The walrus and the carpenter were walking close at hand. They swept like anything to see. Such quantities of sand. If this were only cleared away, they said, it would be grand. They are just suggesting to each other, they are just talking about the surroundings around there, that if this huge quantity of sand will be removed off, will be wiped off from here, but this place would be a more grand, huge place after that. And they are also suggesting that if 7 maids and with 7 mops swept it off for half a year, do you suppose, the walrus said, that they could get it clear? I doubt it, said the carpenter, and shed a bitter tear, and they started crying again. Like both of them are saying that if 7 mops with their 7 maids, if they will clean this whole place, swept this whole place for 6 months a year consecutively, the walrus is asking to the carpenter that would you think that this place will be cleared out after cleaning this with the 7 maids and with their 7 mops? So he said that no, I don't think so. And again he started crying. Then they came across through the oysters. O oysters, come and walk with us. The walrus did beseech. Beseech means to beg, to request them that let's come with us for a walk. A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk. Along the briny beach. Briny beach, that is a salty taste of the water of the sea. That's why this is called briny. We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each. The eldest oyster looked at him. He was just curious that why they are saying to these things to all of us, because we are stranger to them. So the eldest oyster became curious. But never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed. He abruptly gave the signal to them that he is not interested, that he is not interested to leave his place. He wants to stay in the same place where he is. The young oysters, they get hurried and they went away with them. They were so impatient, they were so eager to have that treat, to have a walk with them. But four young oysters hurried up, all eager for that. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat, and this was odd because, they hadn't any feet. Four oysters followed them, and yet another four, and thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more, all hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore. They went to each other back and back, and they just jumping at a frothy waves. Wave means the foamy waves, the lightweight waves, and they just climbing over the seashore. The walrus and the carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock conveniently low, and all the little oysters stood and waited in a row. They walked on a mile together with the walrus and the carpenter. And now, in the next stanza, the walrus is saying to the oysters that it's time to talk many things. Like they are going to just discussing general things like about shoes, the shoes and the shapes and the sealing wax, cabbages, different things, random things they are discussing. Like the time has come, the walrus said, to talk of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot. Simply, they are just discussing, and actually, Wallace was just passing the time just to eat them. But wait a bit, Oyster cried. Before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath. But wait a bit, the oyster cried. Before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath. They were just out of breath. They wanted to take rest. And all of us are fat. No hurry, said the carpenter. They thanked him much for that. Carpenter has given the permission to take the rest. They are just thanking them. A loaf of bread, the walrus said. Walrus is just continuously talking about the random things. He was just talking about the shoes and the sealing wax and the cabbages before. Now he's talking about the loaf of bread and all these things. Is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar besides. Are we going indeed? Now if you are ready, oyster dear, we can begin to feed. He was just giving them the chance, hints that I am going to eat you with these things, having a loaf of bread and the pepper and vinegar beside you, and I will enjoy you afterwards. But not on us, the aristocrat. They were frightened and they were saying, you are not going to eat us with all these things. Turning a little blue, he was afraid. After such kindness, that would be a dismal things to do. Dismal means the horrible things. He was getting frightened that what are you going to do with us? The night is fine, the walrus said. Do you admire the view? And walrus is just doing his own things, discussing about the different things, and just doing his own thing again and again. Oysters were afraid, and walrus was making fun of them. It was so kind of you to come, and you are very nice. The carpenter said nothing but cut us another slice. I wish you were not quite so deaf. I wish you were not quite so deaf. I have had to ask you twice. It seems a shame, the walrus said, to play them such a trick, after we have brought them out so far and made them trot so quick. Trot means to jump, to running fast. So, not running fast, to walking fast, like actually. The carpenter said nothing, but butter spread too thick. They are just enjoying this thing that we have just dodged them, we are ditched them, and now we are going to eat them with lots of butter and different things. They are just making the taste of these things in their mouth. I weep for you, the walrus said. Walrus is just making sympathization with them. He's just sympathizing that actually just having a feeling, deep feelings with for the oysters, that I'm crying for you, that you are going to be eaten by me. With sobs and tears, he sorted out those of the largest size. Those are the larger size, the bigger oysters, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes. "Oh, Esther," said the carpenter, "you have had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again?" But answer came there none, and this was scarcely odd because they had eaten everyone. Because at the last, while talking these things about the surroundings, they have all of the oysters have been eaten by both. They successfully have eaten them. They persuaded them to come with them, and after that, in the last, they have all of them. They have been eaten by both of the walrus and the carpenter. So this is the thing that poet wants to say you, that you need to be very careful, focused, and vigilant in your own life as well. The strangers, the people who are in your surroundings, if they are saying these kind of things to you, you should ignore, and you should use your own mind and your own common sense. And you should be aware of these people who are always in your surroundings to deceive you, to ditch you in this way. Their intentions, you don't know about their intentions, whether they are bad or good for you. So you should be very vigilant in this regard. Now you need to read this poem again, and you need to underline and discuss the difficult words and their synonyms with me tomorrow in the class. So as you can see, that the poem which we have learned today, that it is clearly a clear picture of the walrus and the carpenter who deceived and took the advantage of oysters. And the poet says us that we should be vigilant and should not trust blindly on others. So in this poem we have came across through different difficult words like sulkily, trotting, billows, besiege, rude, spoil, briny. These are all difficult words. Sympathize, all different words are there. So you need to revise these words and find their difficult meanings, their synonyms, and we'll discuss this in the next class. So I hope you understood the things. So take good care of yourself. Take care. Allah Hafiz.